to it, doesn't it?
I know. The air felt that way too. It was brisk out there.
Yeah.
But things have actually turned around weather-wise, and all is settling down just in time for the Boston Marathon today, which I believe is just kicked off, right? Kicked off. Like the people crossing the start line.
Have you ever run a marathon?
I have. Have you?
No, I don't think I could run 26 yards, let alone 26 miles.
Well, we're going to chat more about it today and follow the weather. We also have several severe weather. Rehoboth Beach yesterday. Not quite warm enough to go in the water, not by even a little bit, but sunny enough to go out there on the sand. And this scene will change starting this afternoon when we got the chance of some storms rolling into the scene. So look, beautiful day out there to enjoy it. Yes, everyone's a little bundled up with at least some jackets on. Today, what we got to watch out for is some thunderstorms. It'll be warmer, yes, but we've got some storm chances coming in. I want to talk about that down here from, say, Ocean City in Maryland. We're going to be looking at storms all the way down through Virginia Beach and back towards Richmond. Travelers heads up as well. And even in the D.C. metro area, we could be seeing some thunderstorms here. The front is coming through, the same one that cleared out the weather for us up in Boston this morning. This is sinking south, and we're going to see the instability building through the area today. Some stronger winds aloft, watching that to kind of drive wind or hail as the main threat for what we would see coming in out of these thunderstorms. And it definitely will be linked to daytime heating. This is going to be more of a late afternoon, early evening kind of thing. And then once the sun sets, the threat will diminish. So you see through the day, the background color is basically the instability. It starts to build. So now we're at 3 o'clock and we start to see a few thunderstorms moving on through. Again, just out of that leading edge of the front. Richmond for you, maybe about 6 or 7 o'clock. Virginia Beach, about the same time, maybe a little bit later. But then once we hit about 10, 11 o'clock, we lose all of that instability, of course, and these do diminish in intensity. All right, Norfolk, let's take a closer look for you at what's going to happen today there and in the Hampton Roads area. We do have that chance of thunderstorms here. It doesn't really come in until about 5 or 6 o'clock tonight, maybe even a little bit after. This is now 7 or 8 o'clock. These storms are coming through. Again, there is the risk for severe weather, so keep that in mind. Make sure you have a way to get warnings. Winds and hail are the main threats that you would see out of thunderstorms in this area. And by the time, 11, 12 o'clock comes around, everything will have moved through and the intensity of the storms will have diminished. Now, let's go back to the big event happening in the middle of the maybe cleaning out your garage, making sure that you can't that car in there. Today's forecast for that risk of large hail, again, mainly coming in later, but coming in across parts of Nebraska, maybe even up into South Dakota, and then extending down into Kansas. Another area you got to watch out for supercells that form on the dry line here into West Texas, Wichita Falls, down to Abilene. And also at the same time, these are the areas that have the tornado threat. And there's a 5 on the Torcon up here in Nebraska and Kansas, and then a 3 extending down through Oklahoma City and Wichita Falls. Let's zoom into North Platte and talk about there and Grand Island, where we do have that threat for hail that could be 2 inches in size or greater. So we're talking about golf ball size hail, tennis ball size hail, maybe even larger. Let's look in at this zone because we're also under a 5 on the Torcon. So timing is everything, right? You want to know when you need to be prepared to really watch out for storms. Now, this is 3 o'clock when we're starting the forecast. And then this is the forecast radar. And it's challenging to forecast when thunderstorms are going to form exactly in the placement. So don't take this, exact guidance as to where specifically there's going to be a storm, but the timing of it. This is 6 o'clock. It takes until then, maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock even, for some thunderstorms to form across the area and even beyond. This is now in the overnight, and there's still thunderstorms across the zone. So it really is more of an evening and an overnight situation that we are going to be watching for across this area. Des Moines, your forecast is for tomorrow when we'll see the severe weather. So let's look in here because we also could see some large hail that's possible across central Iowa. Thunderstorms for you. We're starting the clock with what's going on overnight and then taking it into early in the morning. So now this is when our storms are coming through. This is about lunchtime on Tuesday. But again, we'll be watching those overnight storms and how they evolve and how they track east. I mean, Greg, there's a lot of conditional probability on the severe. What happens tonight will affect what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, and some of the areas today may not even see thunderstorms, as you mentioned. The warm air aloft the cap, like a lid on a pot of boiling water. That's going to hold things back farther south.
Yeah, no, it is a tough forecast.
Yeah, well, storm threats are not the only thing blasting off.
50 actually, then warming up to the 60s.
Sounds like good running weather to me.
It sounds like it, but we're not sure. So we're asking you. That's our question of the day. What is your ideal temperature for being a runner, or maybe you're a walker, or maybe you're a volunteer or a spectator? Let us know. We've got a poll going. You can vote, but of course, share in the comments which of these you'd most likely to be and what you like about the weather for the race.
Well, we have some answers. We have
the spots that we have some of that large larger fire risk, but red flag warnings are up across New Mexico, western Texas, up through eastern Colorado, western Kansas, and even up there into parts of South Dakota, which might be surprising because you think, oh, we've got some thunderstorms in the forecast too. But yes, it's actually going to be pretty warm and dry before we get to that rain chance. So today, a critical fire risk out there across eastern New Mexico, western Texas, stretching all the way up into eastern Colorado. We had a pretty good season, a really good season actually for snowpack across the mountains of Colorado, but the front range is a little bit drier, and so that's what we really have to watch out for. Relative humidities, as we go through the day, they will be dropping. So we're starting off right now with a lot of spots a little bit higher, but look into New Mexico and western Texas, dropping down as we get through the afternoon hours. It'll rebound overnight in the morning typically, and then, drops down again. So it's definitely through the afternoon and evening, which is sometimes some of your peak fire conditions. Out ahead of the dry line is, or along the dry line and maybe just behind it is where we're going to be watching. Look at this heat. I mean, temperatures hitting 90 today in Lubbock. So the heat is on, the dew points are low, just a bad combination for things. And we'll see more heat as we get through the day, all the way up into eastern Colorado and the front range and down through New Mexico. Winds could be very gusty, in excess of 50 miles per hour, and that would easily fan the flames or push a fire. So these are all concerns that we have. Look at some of these winds here blasting through the area, and then we'll have to keep it on Tuesday and Wednesday winds as well, actually, right through the zone. And the forecast for tomorrow is still watching. It's an elevated risk right across this very same area in New Mexico and western Texas, Greg.
Well, with a multi-day severe...
Complicated. And, Greg, we've got the risk of storms today, tonight, and really tonight and tomorrow, more so than today.
Yeah, a couple of things that I was looking at. There's an elevated mix layer already in place, which is sort of a cap over the central and southern plains. That's going to be in place, I think, through much of the day, keeping us from Kansas on southward, hard to get thunderstorms. And then we're in the wake of a little disturbance that you were looking at in the satellite pictures. Yeah. Some subsidence behind that. That's all pushing down on the attempts to create thunderstorms. Today, tomorrow's different.
Right. Yes.
Let's have a look at tomorrow.